Khilafat movement and Malabar killings. It may be useful to look at the views of Maulana Azad as a prelude to the Khilafat movement. It reflects how Indian Muslims viewed themselves in the global arena. Dr. Abul Kalam Azad stated the following in his address at Kolkata on 27th October 1914. This biradri, we are quoting Abul Kalam Azad now, this biradri, community of Muslims, has been established by God. All relationships in the world can break down, but this relationship can never be severed. It is possible a father turns against his son, not impossible that a mother separates her child from her lap. It is possible that one brother becomes the enemy of the other brother. But the relationship that a Chinese Muslim has with an African Muslim, an Arab Bedouin has with the Tatar shepherd, and which binds in one soul a new Muslim of India with the right descendant Qurayshi of Mecca, there is no power on earth to break it, to cut off this chain. If even a grain of the soul of Islam is alive among its followers, then I should say that if a thorn gets stuck in a Turk's hole in the battlefield of war, then I swear by the God of Islam, no Muslim of India can be a Muslim until he feels that prick in his heart instead of in his soul, because of the Millat-e-Islam, the global Muslim community is a single body. Today, if it is asked where to search for that life of nations and evidence of life, then its answer will not come from the universities of education and arts and ancient libraries. Rather, it will be found in the metal ships which line up the coasts. Okay, now that speech has ended. Maulana Azad was the fulcrum on which were balanced the Congress and the Khilafat movement, even though the latter was nominally led by Muhammad Ali Jauhar and his brother Shaukat Ali. As the non-cooperation movement were on, the rallying cry of the Muslim leadership became jihad against the British infidel. However, the illiterate masses did not know the distinction among different varieties of infidels. This unfortunate appeasement of the Muslim religious leadership begun by Mahatma Gandhi soon came to pass in Malabar. A fanatical Sufi of the Qadri Tariqa, Ali Musliar, preached jihad with such venom and hatred that the population was made to believe that the rule of the Caliph was going to be soon established in Malabar, and their struggle was for the Sharia's law. Their fury rose against all infidels, and the result was large-scale rioting and massacre of Hindus in the Malabar. Annie Besant, who toured the area after the rebellion, describes the scenes of devastation, rape, plunder, torture, and atrocities in graphic detail. In light of the massacre, the Queen of Nilambur wrote a poignant letter to the wife of the viceroy. Yoking a generally peaceful and orderly majority with an aggressive minority without clarity of narrative was always likely to have disastrous consequences, and it came to pass in Malabar. It paints a grim picture of the Congress leadership that it learnt nothing from similar movements against the British in the pre-1857 period in Bengal by Shariatullah, Tutu Miah and Dodhu Miah, each of which was ostensibly a jihad against the British, but ended up in mass brutalities against the unsuspecting Hindus. Worse was the attempt by the Indian National Congress to whitewash the crimes of the Malabar. A session of the Congress in Ahmedabad in December 1921 took note of the happenings in Malabar but adopted a resolution that virtually absolved the perpetrators of all crimes. Resolution number 3 of the Ahmedabad session read thus: The Congress expresses its firm conviction that the Mopla disturbance was not due to the non-cooperation or the Khilafat movement, especially as the Khilafat preachers were denied access to the affected parts by the district authorities for 6 months before the disturbance, but is due to causes wholly unconnected with the two movements, and that the outbreak would not have occurred had the message of non-violence been allowed to reach them. Nevertheless, this Congress is of opinion that the disturbance in Malabar, quote-unquote disturbance in Malabar, could have been prevented by the government of Madras accepting the preferred assistance of Maulana Yaqub Hasan. As if this was not enough, this resolution was endorsed by Maulana Hasrat Mohani in a Muslim League meeting. Moplas massacred Hindus because they were frightened. Why were they frightened? Because of an English detachment that suddenly appeared in the locality, which somehow spread a rumor that the Hindu inhabitants had invited the English army. Can we make the connection with the scared minority syndrome that we hear even in today's discourse? Yes, it originated in the 1920s. as the differences grew and the misunderstandings became more acute due to the failure of the Khilafat movement to make an impact on Turkey or Britain, the jihad zeal started outflanking the national cause. Soon enough, another incident of violence in Chauri Chaura in February 1922 made Mahatma Gandhi abandon the non-cooperation movement. It caused great dismay not only among congressmen and Hindus but also among the Muslim religious leaders. The Ali brothers went their own separate way, while Maulana Azad and Hakim Ajmal Khan continued to be a part of the Congress. Further appeasement followed as Muhammad Ali Jawhar was even made the President of Congress in 1924, but he resigned after a few months. Participation in a national movement made no difference to their position on the Muslim religious issues. In 1924, Muhammad Ali publicly said in a speech in Aligarh, "However pure Mr. Mahatma Gandhi's character may be, he must appear to me from the point of religion inferior to any Musalman, even though he be without character." In 1925, he escalated it further by saying, "Yes, according to my religion creed, I do hold an adulterous and a fallen Musalman to be better than Mr. Gandhi." Who is saying this? Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali Jawhar. In a manifesto on Hindu-Muslim relations issued in 1928, Khwaja Hassan Nizami declared, "Musalmans are separate from Hindus, they cannot unite with the Hindus. After bloody wars, the Musalmans conquered India and the English took India from them. The Musalmans are one united nation and they alone will be masters of India. They will never give up their individuality. They have ruled India for hundreds of years and hence they have a prescriptive right over the country. The Hindus are a minor community in the world. They are never free from internecine quarrels. They believe in Gandhi and worship the cow. They are polluted by taking other people's water. The Hindus do not care for self-government. They have no time to spare for it. Let them go on with their internal squabbles. What capacity have they for ruling over men? The Musalmans did rule and the Musalmans will rule." This pairing of a national movement with a religious movement achieved only one thing. It made Mahatma Gandhi a mass leader. The elusive Hindu-Muslim unity could not have been achieved by avoiding discussion on the essential differences between the natures of the two different worldviews. A mature discussion like what was attempted by Bal Gangadhar Tilak would have yielded long-lasting benefits. Mahatma Gandhi's approach only strengthened the bigots among Muslims, alienated the more liberal leaders like Jinnah, and provided a template for the Muslim leadership for future negotiations with the Indian National Congress on the lines of the two-behavior pattern as described in the first chapter. This is a very important point. See what he writes. It alienated the more liberal leaders like Jinnah because of this appeasement viewpoint. It may be useful to excerpt a letter written by K.P. Keshav Menon, K. Madhavan Nair, T.V. Muhammad, K. Karunakara Menon and K.V. Gopal Menon on the aforementioned resolution. Truth is infinitely of more paramount importance than Hindu-Muslim unity or Swaraj, and therefore we tell the Maulana Sahib, Hasrat Mohani, and his co-religionists and India's severed and revered leader Mahatma Gandhi, if he too is unaware of the events here, that atrocities committed by the Moplas on the Hindus are unfortunately too true, and that, quote-unquote, there is nothing in the deeds of Mopla rebels which a true non-violent non-cooperator can congratulate them for. What is it for which they deserve congratulation? Their wanton and unprovoked attack on the Hindus, the all but wholesale looting at their houses in Ernad and parts of Valluvanad, Ponnani and Calicut taluks, the forcible conversion of Hindus in a few places at the beginning of the rebellion, and the wholesale conversion of those who stick to their homes in its later stages, the brutal murder of inoffensive Hindus, men, women and children in cold blood, without the slightest reason except that they are kafirs, the desecration and burning of Hindu temples, the outrage on Hindu women and their forcible conversion and marriage by Moplas, do these and similar atrocities proved beyond the shadow of a doubt by the statements recorded by us from the actual sufferers who have survived deserve any congratulation? On the other hand, should they not call forth the strongest condemnation from all right-minded men and more especially from a representative body of Mohammedans like the Khilafat Conference pledged to non-violence under all provocation? Did the Moplas who committed such atrocities sacrifice their lives in the cause of their religion? Unfortunately, this template was to be played out again and again over the next 100 years. It was played out again as we watched the grotesque protests against the Citizenship Amendment Act unfold.